And we are live with the breaking news, of course. So let's go ahead and play the breaking news intro.
Come on, man.
Whoops, wrong one. There we go.
Breaking news.
Okay.
Breaking news.
We do have breaking news, but before we get into that, what I want to do is just say that this month is the month that we are doing the Bella's Wish thing, which is a program to raise money for not to raise money, but it's like a virtual toy drive. I guess you can say. My niece Bella had cancer 3 years ago. She passed away, and her make-a-wish was to buy, or stop that, was to buy kids who are sick toys. So I'm about to kick you off, right? But yeah, let's just jump into it. The link is in the description, so if you want to buy toys for sick kids, you can go ahead and click on that.
And I gotta say that's
hold on, Rich.
amazing that a girl that's dying of cancer.
It will all go to the Ronald McDonald House. All right, now you can talk.
It's amazing that a girl dying of cancer, all she cared about was other kids getting gifts. So that's really sweet.
All right, now let's get into the story. It is basically that GOA. I'm gonna go over the whole entire story here. GOA filed a writ of certiorari today with the Supreme Court, which is a petition to the Supreme Court to hear the case. After the Bruen decision, what happened was New York decided that it didn't like the Bruen decision, so it went ahead and did something called the CCIA, the Concealed Carry.
They improved concealed carry.
The Concealed Carry Improvement Act. The Concealed Carry Improvement Act basically was not an improvement. It did stuff like sensitive areas, social media posts, police interviews, 18 hours of training. The list goes on and on and on. Character references. Most of the state became non-carry once again. And that was a direct result at Bruen. You can say they were thumbing their nose at the Supreme Court, which is what they were doing. They even admitted that they passed the concealed carry for that. GOA filed a lawsuit with a Ukrainian immigrant named Ivan Antioch, and they went to a district court and got a preliminary injunction against the CCIA. New York went and asked the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to stay that decision until they could have a chance to rule on the merits of the case. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals stood on it for a little while, held it for a little while, and then GOA went to the Supreme Court and asked them to intervene. They told the Second Circuit to speed it up, but they weren't going to intervene. They were going to let the Second Circuit do what they did, but they would have to do it in an expedited manner. The Second Circuit then heard the case at a 3-judge panel where they upheld part of the injunction against like social media posts and stuff like that for violations of the First Amendment, but they let other key provisions of the CCIA stand, such as police interviews, the training, and some of the sensitive areas. So what GOA has done today, and our friend Stephen Stambolier was the lawyer that wrote the petition, is they petitioned the Supreme Court to hear their challenge to the CCIA. They could have asked for an en banc from the Second Circuit, meaning that the full bench would hear it, It was a 3-judge panel that heard it. But if you look at the makeup of the Second Circuit, it is probably the best thing that they could have done is go to the Supreme Court instead of going en banc. En banc, they probably would not. They probably would not have decided in GOA's favor because they're kind of anti-gun. But the Supreme Court, we have a better chance. If they would have went en banc, it would have probably extended it for another year and a half before it got up to the Supreme Court. But now GOA is asking the Supreme Court to step in and look over the CCIA to see if it's constitutional or not. I believe that it's not constitutional at all. Because if you look at some of the stuff, like they have something called good moral character. They don't have proper calls anymore because that was thrown out by Bruen. So they just replaced it with good moral character. Same thing, they just changed the name, right? So they filed it. I'm going to post a link to the CCIA in the chat. So, not the CCIA, the petition for cert in the chat, so you can read through that. But they are claiming that there is multiple constitutional problems with the CCIA. The training, for example, is only to make it most cumbersome for the average citizen, because it is very expensive to get 18 hours of training. There's hardly anyone that can teach training. So right there, you have a roadblock, and you also have a cost roadblock.
So in other words, you can have your rights. You just have to pay for them both financially and with your time.
Yeah, and also the interview with police. The interview with police are taking about a year to get, and that is just so they accept your application, get an interview scheduled, you go through an interview, then they hold it for. So basically, they're playing the long game and trying to push it off. So they're suing over that as well. Plus stuff like good moral character, because who gets to decide that? That is not really. And there's, when you look at that, there, you have like objectiveness and stuff like that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and whether there's a D or an R next to your name.
Yeah, well, they can decide that you're not of good moral character for any reason. There's no guidelines. Just, I don't think this guy is of good moral character. So that is another thing that they are challenging as well.
So not only do you have to pay for your right to keep and bear arms, you have to have training, you have to pay a fee, and you have to be of good moral character to have your right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah. What they are doing is they are trying to go ahead and make it as hard as possible.
Well, and that's what they did in Florida. Like, teachers can carry, but they have to have more training than a SWAT team member annually, every year. In New York, my flight instructor, he has a permit to carry, but he has to show that he brings cash to the bank, but the CCIA made it so he can't carry at the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what is going on here is that it is going to be taken up by the Supreme Court, because this is a direct response. This law was a direct response to the Bruen decision, which was a Supreme Court decision.
That's crazy.
We can go through the writ of certiorari, but it's basically what I said. It's unconstitutional because it's creating artificial roadblocks and delays as well. It is not in the spirit of Bruen. Bruen said that that any gun law has to be based on 3 different things: the original text of the Second Amendment, which there is nothing in the original text that says what New York is doing is legal. It has to be it also has to be consistent with the tradition and history of the Second Amendment. Now, to prove that, if it's not in the actual text, that's all that the plaintiffs have to show. It's not in the actual text. And that falls to the state to show historical analogs from the founding era that there were similar laws, which New York has provided similar law. I don't think they're similar laws, but they have provided laws. And
well, they claim they prevented black people from getting guns.
All the laws that they have provided were like, they were allowed to, it was Native Americans and Catholic.
Racist.
So yeah. I'll answer that in a second. I got a thought on the question. So yes. So
so here's my question to you. Being that the CCIA is really putting the thumb in the eye of Clarence Thomas, how apt is the Supreme Court to take this case up?
I think they're going to take it on a 5-4 basis, or they won't take it on a 5-4 basis.
And you mean the justices voting to grant certiorari on this? Correct. Do you think Roberts is a swing vote? What do you think?
I think Roberts is one of the swing votes.
Because I'm not so certain about Amy Coney Barrett anymore.
Yeah, I think those are the two. I think those are the two you're going to have to worry about. Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh will definitely. I think that they will vote to grant cert. Brown, Sotomayor, and the others. I don't think that they will.
Yeah.
I don't think that the liberal justices on the court will do that. Yep. But that's what I am thinking.
Okay, so California question, is that what you're going to get back at?
Yes. The proposed CA registration tax, is it constitutional? I don't think it's constitutional, and I don't think it will stand. They are trying to make you basically every year pay a fee.
Wow.
Wow, I don't think it is.
Rough.
Because all that is doing is trying to get people to have to pay money to make it more and more expensive.
It's just a penalty.
It's a penalty. It might take a while to fight, but I do believe on the district level it will get overturned. Whether the Ninth Circuit comes in and stays it, that is another question. But these gun laws, they're all unconstitutional, and they are all going down fighting. But they're still fighting, but they're going down. So, yeah, that is one of the things that is going on today. Sorry, I haven't been making videos as much as usual. As Rich can tell you, I'm not fully recovered yet, or anywhere close to being recovered. Every time I think I am, I'm not. That's why I
it's
haven't been doing the show. Rich has been flying solo.
it's been pretty amazing to me. The GOA is out there fighting for our rights all the time, and I think this is a really great step forward in trying to resolve the issues in New York State and for other states.
Yeah, because this is going to have a massive impact. If you look at the CCIA and you compare it to other laws around the country, like Maryland's and stuff like that, there's a lot of countries that are basing their new concealed carry laws on things like the CCIA.
Which probably was written by Everytown and Bloomberg Agency, anti-gun agency, and
It was Everytown.
circulating it around.
It was Everytown and Brady, I think. But
So
yeah,
they're working their hardest to take your rights away, and they have a team of people actively writing new legislation to shove into politicians' hands to thwart any legitimate legal efforts to support the Constitution and your Second Amendment right.
yeah. So, any news on the assault weapons ban in SCOTUS? Well, I don't know if they will take that case or not. He's talking about the one out of California. That's that FBC filed a registration with the Supreme Court on. So they petitioned the Supreme Court to take it. I don't know if they will take that case. They're eventually going to have to take one assault weapons ban case because there's a lot going up there, and they're going to have to answer the question once and for all on that. Hopefully, it'll be sooner than later, but who knows? Yeah. Immunity needs to be revoked in all civil rights cases. Absolutely. I tell Rich that.
I used to be against it. I'm now on board.
Yeah, I tell Rich that weekly. I used to have huge conversations with Rich because Rich used to not agree with me on that, but now he does.
No, I've seen enough shenanigans and bad actors that I'm on board. Look, we're reliable for our conduct, and I think especially if you're a police officer, yeah.
Well, I think they're talking about more than just police officers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about like suing the government. I think he's talking about suing the government for
I
violating
agree on that also. I'm all over it.
your civil rights, like because the right to bear arms is a civil right.
Yeah.
You know. So yep. Immunity equals impunity, 100%. So with that, I am going to get out of here. Just wanted to make a quick little video to let you guys know what is going on. I might have had a little hint that this was coming. I don't know how I would get that, but yeah. Yep. Yeah, that there is a fee. That's a separate case that is being sued on right now. So we'll see what happens with that. There's multiple cases around the country with that. There's one in California that they had a freedom week for ammunition and stuff like that. And the Ninth Circuit stayed that decision.
Wow. How about we do a background check on voting?
You can't do that. That's racist. No idea how, but apparently it is.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. That is it. I hope you have a great day. And I hope I don't have asthma.
Watch out for the acorns.
Pneumonia.
Watch out for those tactical acorns.
Yeah. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you later. Remember, the Bellows Wish is linked down below. There's some cheap stuff on there too. And it would really make a difference to a kid that has cancer.